Hey, welcome back to my series breaking down Halo 2. As promised, we're going to be diving into the multiplayer this time. All the maps are going to be getting a brief summary first, and then lastly we're going to be listing out some of the notable game types and customization options. We've got 25 levels to cover and more, so getting right on into it. Ascension is a base game map with a recommended player count of 2 to 12 and is located on a relay station atop a skyscraping stone pillar on Delta Halo. The text for it is, quote-unquote, "This relay station is part of a network that has kept Delta Halo functioning smoothly for untold centuries. Here you'll find 5 frags, 3 plasmas, 1 pistol, 2 needlers, 2 battle rifles, 2 SMGs, 1 magnum, 2 snipers, 1 rocket, 1 shotgun, and a single banshee to fight with here. It's well known for being super great for super bounces, and it even has a few other ways to get out of the map entirely. Backwash is part of the Maptacular map pack and is recommended for 2 to 10 players located in a flood-affected swamp on Delta Halo. Previous sentence is, there are strong indications that beneath the shroud of mist drowning this swamp on Delta Halo lies a powerful intelligence. Despite having a lower max player count recommended, this map actually has even more variety than Ascension with 3 frags, 3 plasmas, 2 plasma pistols, 1 battle rifle, 4 SMGs, 2 magnums, 2 shotguns, 1 carbine, 4 plasma rifles, 2 sentinel beams, 1 brute shot, 1 active camo, and an energy sword, all available on the map. This map has a ton of interesting history and Easter eggs, so I'm not going to spoil most of these. There are 2 that I'd like to make note of. Firstly, Penitent Tangent, who is floating around this map, sounds different than their campaign counterpart. It turns out it's because originally that was actually Floating Spark, Guilty Spark floating around there, and they ultimately switched monitors because Spark's blue light kept confusing players and making it look like a plasma grenade in the fog, apparently. And so they hadn't recorded it, obviously because of that, they hadn't recorded any lines for Penitent Tangent to be there, and so hence they just had to modify Guilty Spark sound files that they already had on hand rather than get any Penitent Tangent lines, so. Beaver Creek is a base game level recommended for 2 to 8 players in a tiny canyon on Delta Halo. Its summary is, these forgotten structures were once the site of many bitter battles, but have since been reclaimed by nature. There are no more than 2 of any weapon on this map, with the available ones being frags, plasmas, plasma pistols, needlers, battle rifles, SMGs, magnums, snipers, plasma rifles, as well as 1 overshield, 1 rocket, and 1 shotgun. The only Easter egg or extra of note that I would like to make note of is apparently if you push rocks down from the sniper tower, and I didn't know this beforehand before doing research, there's a red versus blue reference somewhere quoted on the wall, so that's cool. Burial Mounds is another base game map meant for ideally 4 to 16 players on the moon basis, which is the moon by Alpha Halo, if people recall from CE. Fun fact about Basis, actually, the original Heretic levels during earlier builds of the campaign were supposed to take place there in a snowy environment, but ultimately they obviously changed Basis to a desert and gave us a multiplayer map on it instead. Its sandbox includes 4 frags, 2 plasmas, 2 plasma pistols, 2 needlers, 3 battle rifles, 1 sniper, 1 rocket, 1 carbine, 3 plasma rifles, 1 sword, and a beam rifle. In addition, there's also a pair of vehicles with a single warthog and a ghost on each side, and apparently it's possible to get it out of this map too, but the only way I could find requires 2 players, so hence I haven't done it because I don't remember ever playing on a non-competitive game on here. So check out Vengeful Vadam's video if you want all the details, noting changes between this and the alpha build, but the only one that I would like to point out really quickly is that there is a lot less cover in the alpha build between that and the final release, so the final release made it just a lot easier just to survive on that map in general. Coagulation is another base game map for 4 to 16 players, this one located in a large valley on Delta Halo, with its description saying, recent excavations have failed to shed light on the true purpose of the outpost in this bloody gulch. And on here you're going to find 4 frags, 2 plasmas, 2 plasma pistols, 1 needler, 4 battle rifles, 4 magnums, 2 snipers, 1 rocket, 2 shotguns, 4 plasma rifles, 2 brute shots, as well as 2 active camos and overshields. And to get around this area, the devs even gave us 2 warthogs, 2 banshees, and 2 ghosts, split evenly between each base, of course. This is also a level where there's only one way to break out, but this one requires you to change the game settings yourself to get a Spectre instead of necessarily needing a partner to do it. Colossus also released with the base game and has a recommended player count of 4 to 14, located among the floating gas mines of Threshold, the gas giant Alpha Halo was orbiting. Its lore piece goes, numerous scientific expeditions have failed to reveal what the Foreigners intended with all this damn gas. Including all this damn gas, we'll find scattered across the area 4 frags, 4 plasmas, 2 plasma pistols, 4 needlers, 4 battle rifles, 4 magnums, 3 shotguns, 4 plasma rifles, 1 beam rifle, and 1 of each power-up, the overshield and active camo, of course. And apparently there's a fun glitch you can do where if you repeatedly jump in front of the overshield, you can float in midair, but that might be exclusive to the original hardware because I was trying to replicate this in MCC recently and I just couldn't. Containment is part of the very creatively named bonus map pack for a recommended 6 to 16 players located in Chili Valley on Delta Halo. Its in-game summary reads, fighting for a patch of dirt abutting a wall containing a galaxy-devouring parasite may seem pointless to some, but, which is great. And fitting the higher ideal player count, we're going to have a big number of weapons across here. We've got 6 frags, 8 plasmas, 2 plasma pistols, 2 needlers, 8 battle rifles, 2 magnums, 2 snipers, 2 rockets, 2 shotguns, 4 carbines, 6 plasma rifles, 2 brute shots, 2 active camos, 1 overshield, as well as 2 Gauss Warthogs and 2 Banshees, the vehicles split evenly between each base, of course. Lastly, if you look back at each base, the marathon symbol, of course, which is ever so common in Halo games, will be along many of the pillars of each base. Desolation is part of the Blastacular map pack and is intended for 2 to 8 players, being located in an isolated Forerunner arena on Delta Halo. This preview lore for this one reads, once on a scientific outpost, this derelict Forerunner facility waits potentially to be reactivated. In this arena, we're given 6 frags, 4 plasmas, 2 needlers, 2 battle rifles, 2 SMGs, 4 magnums, 1 rocket, 2 shotguns, 4 plasma rifles, 2 sentinel beams, 2 brute shots, 1 sword, and 2 overshields. This is actually the last time we're going to see the sentinel beam in this episode, as this and the previously covered backwash are the only 2 maps that it spawns on regularly, so sorry friend. District is a big team battle map from Halo 2 Vista with a suggested player count of 8 to 16 and is the first Earth map we'll be going over today, this one located in Old Mabasa. Its summary is, the alleys of Old Mabasa were never kind to the unwary. On a Covenant-controlled Earth, ramshackle homes provide an ideal for an ambush. Prove ideal for an ambush. Anyways, this map has every available weapon from the multiplayer, giving us 14 frags, 8 plasmas, 2 plasma pistols, 3 needlers, 4 battle rifles, 8 SMGs, 2 magnums, 2 snipers, 1 rocket, 3 shotguns, 2 carbines, 3 plasma rifles, 1 brute shot, 1 sword, 1 beam rifle, 1 overshield, and 1 active camo. On top of all of that, we also get to utilize 4 warthogs and a whopping 8 ghosts. This makes District one of only 2 levels that has every single weapon available in gameplay. Elongation is part of the Maptacular map pack and is meant for 2 to 6 players. Being aboard the UNSC freighter Onan, orbiting above Earth, its lore description fittingly reads, a well-placed bribe can speed a cargo ship through what are surely some of the longest inspections in the galaxy. On this map, we get 2 of literally every weapon available. SMGs, battle rifles, magnums, shotguns, plasma pistols, plasma rifles, brute shots, frags, and plasmas. The conveyor belt is definitely the best part of this map, and it has a few interesting effects. Firstly, weapons will constantly bounce as long as they're on the conveyor belt. However, oddly enough, plasma grenades will just stand there like a stone with no rolling or bouncing at all. And then lastly, if you stand still and let the conveyor belt move you, the enemy won't be able to see you on their movement trackers, which is very helpful if you're trying to be sneaky, of course. Foundation is a base game map for 2 to 8 players, being a part of the decommissioned area of Chicago's Industrial Zone 8. Its lore sentence mentions this directly. Deep in Chicago Industrial Zone 08 lies the decommissioned Tactical Autonomous Robotic Defense System testing facility. This homage to a marathon map gives us 4 SMGs, 2 battle rifles, 4 magnums, 2 shotguns, 2 rockets, 1 sword, 4 needlers, 5 frags, and 3 plasmas. This map has a method to break out I've actually done before if you do what's called like a butterfly jump through the ceiling vent, and each room has numbers on them. If you go to room number 1, go through the ceiling vent with the butterfly jump, you'll be free. Room 3 has some banshees in the windows that I didn't recall ever noticing, but that's pretty interesting. And then finally, there's a 7-step trick apparently to get into this secret 5th room. Hopefully I'm showing a screenshot right now of what Halo Phantom shows to do for the steps of that. So if you're curious to do that, there you go. Gemini is another map part of the Maptacular map pack with a suggested number of players ranging from only 2 to 6. As you can tell visually, it's a part of High Charity, more specifically the Gardens of Reverent Contemplation. The text preview for this one is, "This sanctuary now rings with the sounds of combat. The end of the ancient duality of the Covenant is truly at hand." Gemini has one of my favorite weapon sandboxes, very untraditional, giving us 2 plasma pistols, 4 plasma rifles, 1 beam rifle, 2 brute shots, 2 carbines, 1 sword, 2 needlers, 6 plasmas, and 1 overshield. Somewhat surprisingly, over the 68 multiplayer levels of the original trilogy, this is actually literally the only one that you could get a view of the 400 Dreadnought, which is surprising because it's pretty important to the campaigns of both 2 and 3. Headlong is a base game map intended for games with 6 to 16 players, and unlike District, this is a new Mombasa, Section 14 to be specific. Here's the lore summary we get in game. Although during the day, Section 14 monitors almost all harbor traffic, at night it's one of the city's most dangerous hangouts. This is actually the only map in the base game that gives us at least 1 of every weapon in normal gameplay, with the only other Halo 2 map made that fits this category being the earlier covered District from Halo 2 Vista. I counted 3 SMGs, 3 battle rifles, 2 magnums, 1 sniper, 2 shotguns, 2 rockets, 3 plasma pistols, 4 plasma rifles, 1 beam rifle, 1 brute shot, 2 carbines, 1 sword, 6 needlers, 1 overshield, 1 active camo, 7 frags, and 5 plasmas. On top of that vast array of weapons and equipment, we're also lucky enough to get 1 Warthog, 1 Banshee, 2 Ghosts, and a Gauss Warthog. Unfortunately, much like the Sentinel Beam, the Gauss Hog only spawns on 2 levels during normal settings. So this is going to be the last time we're going to be seeing that going through maps today. While I can never get it right myself, there's apparently a way using the Banshee to break out of the map. I've seen videos of it, but could never replicate it myself. Ivory Tower is another base game map in New Mombasa, this one being meant for 2 to 12 players and is part of a park high up in the skyscrapers of the city. The preview sentence we get for this one is, "Once home to the famous socialite Lance O'Donnell, the top floor of this building is now a public park." As far as weaponry in this serene park, we've got 2 SMGs, 1 battle rifle, 2 magnums, 1 sniper, 1 shotgun, 1 rocket, 3 plasma pistols, 3 plasma rifles, 1 sword, 2 needlers, 4 frags, 4 plasmas, and an overshield. The name actually has several layers of meaning to it, as Ivory Tower is a common literary metaphor for someone disconnected from reality, which is fitting of Lance O'Donnell's description we just got. Additionally, Ivory Towers was the name of Marty O'Donnell's sound studio, apparently. I never knew that. And at one time, Lance was actually his gamer tag on Xbox Live, so yeah. Lockout is another small base game map with an ideal player count ranging from 2 to 8 and is located somewhere on Delta Halo. Its description reads, "Some believe this remote facility was once used to study the flood, but few clues remain amidst the snow and ice." On this level, we're gifted 1 SMG, 2 battle rifles, 3 magnums, 1 sniper, 1 shotgun, 1 plasma pistol, 2 plasma rifles, 1 sword, 2 needlers, 2 frags, and 3 plasmas. Fun fact, the green hallway area is actually inspired by a marathon multiplayer map, much like all of Foundation's layout we just went over a bit earlier. This is the second level that we're going to go over today that has an alpha build, with the cliff notes on changes being the alpha grav lift was way too strong and would kill you sometimes, or at least, if not, damage you. Several slight visual changes, and immortal fusion coils in the alpha, they just wouldn't blow up. Midship is another 2 to 8 player base game map, this one being aboard the Pious Inquisitor as it floats in space. Its preview is, "Don't let its luxury fool you, the Pious Inquisitor is one of the fastest ships in the Covenant fleet." This weapon sandbox here contains 2 battle rifles, 1 shotgun, 1 plasma pistol, 2 plasma rifles, 1 carbine, 1 sword, 4 needlers, 1 frag, and 3 plasmas. Surprisingly, you can break out of this level too, but it requires following a guide and having an assistant player. Also of note, its name was originally meant to be Begotten Angel earlier in development, but they ultimately changed it to Pious Inquisitor. Relic is part of the Maptacular map pack with an ideal count of 6 to 16 players and is located on an isolated island in the middle of a sea on Delta Halo. The in-game description reads, "Covenant scripture dictates that structures of this type are memorials to forerunners who fell against the flood." On this island we can find 4 SMGs, 4 battle rifles, 2 magnums, 1 rocket, 1 shotgun, 2 plasma pistols, 4 plasma rifles, 2 carbines, 1 sword, 5 needlers, 5 frags, and 5 plasmas. We also finally get we also finally get some vehicles again, with 1 regular Warthog, 1 Ghost to zoom around in. And while most people's fun fact around here on this map might be how to get on the top of the tower in the middle, personally I think the Albatross, just being the only place where you can see the Albatross in all of Halo 2's multiplayer, is a far more interesting note. Sanctuary is part of the Killtacular map pack and has a recommended player count of 2 to 10. It's a Forerunner ruin on Delta Halo with a lore description reading, though its original purpose has been lost to the March of Eons, this structure is now a cemetery to countless brave warriors. Across its layout you'll find 2 battle rifles, 2 magnums, 2 snipers, 1 shotgun, 2 plasma pistols, 4 plasma rifles, 2 carbines, 1 sword, 2 needlers, 4 frags, and 4 plasmas. There are multiple Easter egg texts and drawings along the walls and pillars, and of course we've got more marathon symbols on the broken pillars all over the place to note. Terminal is another gem from the Maptacular map pack, with the stated recommended player count being 6 to 16, and brings us back to New Mombasa on Earth. As far as weaponry is concerned, there's 2 SMGs, 5 battle rifles, 2 magnums, 2 snipers, 2 shotguns, 1 rocket, 2 plasma pistols, 4 plasma rifles, 2 carbines, 1 sword, 7 frags, 8 plasmas, and an overshield. You can also get 2 ghosts, 1 regular Warthog, and a Wraith, interestingly enough. Both the announcers' voices on the speakers, if you're in certain parts of the map, have so many references. There's too many to count of all the Easter eggs for that. Other Easter eggs of note, though, if you look at all the phone booths, all of them are phone booth number 7, of course. Tombstone was part of the Blastacular map pack with a wide range of recommended players from 4 to 16. Much like most Earth map locations, Tombstone is also a part of Mombasa. As far as goodies to grab, we've got 4 SMGs, 2 magnums, 3 battle rifles, a sniper, a rocket, 2 shotguns, 5 plasma rifles, 2 brute shots, a sword, 3 needlers, 8 frags, 4 plasmas, and 2 overshields. Interestingly enough, this is the only map that has the game's maximum numbers of territories on it during that game mode, said number being 8 in total. Turf is part of the Killtacular map pack and is ideal for 2 to 10 players. Yet again, it brings us to Old Mombasa. Across this level, your options for weapons and equipment include 3 SMGs, 1 Magnum, 3 battle rifles, 1 sniper, a shotgun, 2 plasma pistols, 4 plasma rifles, 2 brute shots, 5 frags, 5 plasmas, and you even get a warthog. We've also got several fun stuff to check out on this map, including Rooster Teeth vending machines, and of course, more glorious golden warthog ads. Uplift is a Halo 2 Vista map intended for 6 to 16 players and is somewhat similar to Relic in that it's also an island on Delta Halo. This level has 5 SMGs, 2 magnums, 3 battle rifles, 1 sniper, 1 rocket, 2 shotguns, 2 plasma pistols, 7 plasma rifles, 1 brute shot, 3 carbines, 1 sword, 1 needler, 5 frags, 9 plasmas, 2 overshields, and an active camo. While for vehicles, we get a warthog and 3 ghosts. The only interesting addition on this level is that while walking into the red beam and dying, you can actually unlock 2 different achievements, apparently. Didn't know that. Warlock is part of the bonus map pack with suggested player counts ranging from 2 to 8. This is yet another Forerunner arena on Delta Halo with its in-game description reading. Despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary, some stubbornly maintain that the structure was once a Forerunner arena. Sandbox-wise, it includes 1 Magnum, 4 battle rifles, 4 shotguns, 4 plasma rifles, 4 needlers, 5 plasmas, and an active camo. This is another level I love to get out of the map. Simply use plasma grenades to make your way up the walls and you can get out of this one. Second to last is Waterworks, my favorite map from Halo 2 and actually one that came with the base game. It has an ideal player count of 6 to 16 total and is located in a massive underground cavern somewhere on Earth. For its background we get, while the Forerunners excelled at mimicking natural beauty, this machine cavern exemplifies their true genius. You can find 4 SMGs, 4 magnums, 6 battle rifles, 2 snipers, 2 rockets, 2 shotguns, 4 plasma pistols, 2 plasma rifles, 1 brute shot, 2 carbines, 1 sword, 4 needlers, 4 frags, and 5 plasma. In addition, there's a lot of vehicles with 2 race, banshees, ghosts, and warthogs, 2 of all the above split equally between each base. While it's well known you could shoot down the stalactites and kill players with it, another interesting thing to see is if you look up in the skybox, while we don't know where on Earth this is exactly, we know this has to be on Earth because you can see our moon up in the sky. This is the last of the 3 maps we'll be covering that has any alpha build available to us. The most notable changes include different rock architecture around the central base, no holes in the wall dropping down to the first floor of your base, and much smaller holes in the cavern's roof with only a plain white skybox. The final level we're covering today, Zanzibar, is another base game map with a recommended player count of 2 to 16 and is part of Wind Power Station 7 on the island of Zanzibar. Its preview sentence is, Wind Power Station 7 sits as a mute reminder of the EAP's late 25th century attempt at re-nationalization. Its sandbox includes 5 battle rifles, 2 snipers, 1 rocket, 2 shotguns, 6 plasma rifles, 1 sword, 2 needlers, 5 frags, 6 plasmas, and an active camo. You can also drive around in the 2 ghosts or 2 warthogs. It has 2 fun Easter eggs, including a message on the panel you can unlock, which you unlock the door from in the base. And there's also a special beach sign out, well, by the beach, obviously. And that would, back in the day during Xbox Live, change during special events and special days and have different unique images on it. Quickly, before we move on to the last part of the video, let's touch on the multiplayer UI. Menu-wise, I don't have much more to add that I didn't already say when talking about the main menu. Same sort of blue background, music, and just lovely aesthetics. However, once in-game, the HUD itself is pretty neat. We have our grenades to the top left, weapons and ammo to the top right, and our shields and motion tracker to the bottom left. And then lastly, we get a scoreboard on the bottom right with our crosshair in the middle of the screen, as always. A nice smooth evolution of what Combat Evolved used, fairly objectively, although admittedly I prefer the alpha build's HUD just a little bit more. Lastly, let's go over some of the game modes available on all these levels. Firstly, Slayer, Oddball, Capture the Flag, and King of the Hill would all return from Combat Evolved. These would further be customized based on certain variables the host can change or choose at their discretion, such as the sword subvariant of Slayer giving everybody energy swords when spawning. We'd also get 3 brand new modes that have become staples for the franchise. These include Juggernaut, Territories, and Assault. And as mentioned in the first episode, Halo 2 would be the first in the series to bring multiplayer to Xbox Live, the impact of which simply can't be overstated, sorry. Earlier concepts of Halo 2 had some interesting additions in here as well. Firstly, the Juggernaut game type mode was going to be a lot more literal. The Juggernaut would literally transform into the cut flood enemy type of the same name, and the rest of the players would have to team up and take them down. However, this was cut fairly early on, likely just due to how much of a headache it caused for map design and coding, which Bungie simply didn't have the time to address. Halo 2 crunch and all that. In addition, there were 2 entirely cut modes. Well, 3 technically, because Race was also intended to be brought back from CE, but 2 new ones that were supposed to be brought to Halo 2 that got cut. Headhunter, which would ultimately be implemented on Reach using the same icon as Halo 2's cut version, and even worked the exact same way, more or less, as we saw in the final product of Reach. The other was Warfare, which was somewhat similar to Invasion, which we also got in Reach, with humans versus elites, but in this version, rather than having multiple lives and the main thing necessarily being an objective, each player would only have 1 life per round, which I think would be really interesting. Alright, that is finally going to wrap this lengthy video up. Next time we'll actually be getting into the campaign. And yeah, thank you for anyone who listens to the entire thing, and hope you learned something good, and hope you have a good day, and bye.